Hello and welcome to MTG Reads. I'm DP, author, MTG fan and voracious reader, here to save you time by guiding you to some of the very best of the MTG written word from the past week. Now, in the past week we have had the Zendikar pre-release events, and that has very much driven the articles that we see. And there have been a lot of them, there have been 176, but there's been very little variance because they're all focused on that Zendikar. And as we know from gameplay, when we have decks with very little variance, they tend to be quite repetitive and become boring, and that has been the case this week. So what I've done is I've taken a look at the best articles from each of the different formats and picked the best 5 that I could find and share those with you. Now, I know Arena is not a format, but it does play differently. So we can start with Rich Stein over at Hipsters of the Coast. Now, what Rich has done is he's taking a look at how you can get the Zendikar release for free. Normally, if you just crack packs, as he points out, it would cost you best part of $300 in order to crack the packs on Arena in order to get a play set of each of the cards. So instead, he's found ways to do it. Using the coins and gems that you can get from Wizards very often just for logging in, he has figured out ways in which you can reduce the costs down to next to nothing. For example, straight away from the $300 for just cracking packs, he has figured out that if you go into draft events, even if you're not winning any of the draft events, you can still get that price down by $50. Now, if you're using your free gems to enter the draft events and you're winning some of them, then it's much, much quicker. And he supports this article with a spreadsheet that helps you and guides you through a set of rules to talk you through, and you can grind your way to having a full play set of every Zendikar card, and he explains how to do it. Now, that's a great facility that he's offering with that spreadsheet to back up the article, and I highly commend it to anybody who's got more time than money when playing Arena. And staying with drafting, the limited environment that we see at the pre-release events is very often the first touch for people on Paper Magic, and certainly that was true for me this week. Well, Robert Conroy over at Channel Fireball has taken a look at how you can get ahead in that. Now, to be fair, his article is looking at a tool from 17lands.com, and he is using data in the article from the Core 21 release, not from the Zendikar release. But what it does, what the tool does, is it tracks the picks as people are drafting. And from that, he's shown lots of analysis on how you can figure out what the good picks are that people are passing up, and therefore you can get an edge. Also, what colours people are likely to be going for, and therefore you can, again, get an edge. Now, the stats for this are all gathered from Arena, from participating players who download the software from 17lands.com. But it's a very good indication. They are effectively using crowdsourcing to work out the limited environment. And therefore it's a very good tool for you to be able to take that information even when you're playing in Paper Magic, because you'll have a good idea of what people are missing. Now, moving on from the drafting environment, we look into Standard. There were numerous articles about Standard, particularly because of rotation, with how people are predicting what decks are going to be strong and how to react to the rotation and the new cards from Zendikar. And my favourite of those sort of articles was by Baker Neenan over at TCG Player. What Baker does is builds 7 decks, explains why and how, and it's not just build from scratch, they are updates within the Standard environment. They're all well explained, they're all with the complete deck lists there, and of all the articles I read that were talking about the change to Standard, this is the one that made the most sense to me, and I liked the easy writing style that felt very much like we were having a chat, a conversation, rather than being lectured. So, what other format should we look at? Well, Kendra Smith over at coolstuff.inc has done a review of the new set with regards its impact on the Pauper scene. Now, she doesn't review every single card because that would be madness, but she does do a very comprehensive review, taking a look at all of the ones that are going to be impactful within the Pauper scene. And it's clear she's a big fan of Tuk Tuk Rubble Fort, and he's getting lots of use, particularly in the Elves deck. Now, I'll let you read the article yourselves to get her good, very convincing argument on why that is such a good card and why it's probably the best card for Pauper from the whole release. Highly recommend the article, well worth your time if you play format. Now, that leaves us coming on to fifth recommendation for the week, and whilst Modern is out there, and I'm not wishing to slight it in any way, this is the year of Commander, and it's almost inevitable that I would take a look at a Commander article as a result. And there are several. They're all out there, very much the same problem with the other formats, which is very little variance, so people are writing them. But certainly my favourite of this week actually is a cop-out. It's not an article at all, it's a whole collection of them. Over at EDHRec, they've done a very good job coordinating, or at least deconflicting, their various writers. As a result, we have got a whole release review of Zendikar Rising, with DougY writing the review of all the white cards, Vincent the blue cards, Angelo Guerrera black, Amos Byrne took care of the reds, whilst Doolittle did green. Bernardo Melibeu did the artifacts and the lands, Jason Brantley did the multicoloured gold cards, and Kyle Massa got the job of trying to predict which of the legendaries are going to be particularly popular and have lots of decks built around them. Overall, that is a very comprehensive set review, covering all of the cards and their impact Commander, and where synergies can be found with other cards and existing decks. And it's mainly down to the coordination done by EDHRec to bring all these authors together. I would tend to single out Amos Byrne, who, in my view, did the most entertaining and informative of the different releases, looking particularly at Red, with one of the best, most succinct introductions I have seen. And there's good humour and there's references throughout all of the different pieces, but his definitely stands out. So if you play Commander and you're interested in the impact of this release, heartily recommend you going across to EDHRec and seeing what the writing team has done there. So that just about wraps it up for this week, short and sharp. All of the links to all of the articles are down in the text below, as you would expect, along with the links to the latest instalments of the Magic the Gathering story for Zendikar, where we've finally caught up with the trailer, and we've got the tale behind the trailer now, with promise of yet more to come. It's shaping up to be a very good story, this one. If you like getting these updates, then please hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing so that you can get the little notification bell and get updates when new editions of MTG Reads comes out. And I will be back with you again fairly soon. Until then, happy reading.